What's good, everybody? This is Emerald Knight Leon back with another deck analysis. BT-15 is now officially here. It's legal now. And to start things off with BT-15, I kind of wanted to go back to one of my personal favorite uh, decks that I've started out as a pet project. Didn't realize it was going to get this much, extra support going for it. Being Tribal Biyomon, Phoenixmon. Now, eventually, we will get more Biyomon support in the form of blue Biyomon. Whether that'll synergize with this deck, I don't know. We'll find out. But starting things off, we are running 5 Digi-Eggs. We're running 1 copy of the BT-11 Yokomon with its on deletion of if you have a red tamer in play, draw 1, which we have a lot of red tamers. We are running a good 10 tamers, which is kind of the crux of Biyomon. It's all about tamers. We are also running 4 copies of the new Yokomon. This contains the new, I would say, gimmick of the Phoenix line now. From the new set, where if on deletion you can return 1 Digimon card with avian, bird, beast, animal, or sovereign, other than sea animal in one of its traits from your trash to your hand. And this is kind of what I always wanted, because unfortunately, sometimes you're going to swing in early with your Phoenixmon. It dies. You don't have another Phoenixmon. Oh, good lord. Hold on. Let me proc my Yokomon's effect here in order to grab one of my other Phoenixmons from trash. And then proc Phoenixmon's effect in order to play that Phoenixmon onto the field. Proccing Akiho in order to give it rush and just keep the momentum going. So it kind of lets me go back into my trash, grab my stuff. It kind of turns me into a somewhat of a purple player when you're thinking about it. But for our level 3s, we are running all Biyomons. We're running the BT-11 Biyomon because it's a searcher. It looks up top 3 cards of our deck. We get to add 1 Digimon with vaccine in its traits and 1 red tamer among them to our hand. So that gives us like 2 cards. It's inheritable is on deletion if you have a red tamer, gain 1 memory. We are running 4 copies of BT-13's Biyomon with its ability to warp. If we have Christie out in play, we can just warp this Biyomon into Garudamon, just for a little more extra work. Yes, we lose out on our Christie because it gets sent back to our hand, but depending on what Garuda we're playing, if it's our BT-13 Garuda, or if it's our Garuda Ace, we could essentially just replay Christie again, which, if we wanted, then gives us an on deletion. We may play a Biyomon from our hand or trash and just keep that momentum going. This Biyomon has the on deletion draw 1. We are also running the 4 new copies of the new Biyomon. This Biyomon is a very nice card. I love it. I love its alt art. Start of your main phase by trashing 1 Digimon card with avian, bird, beast, animal, or sovereign other than sea animal in one of its traits in your hand. Reveal the top 4 cards of your deck. Add 1 red card among them to your hand. Return the rest to the bottom of your deck. That's just a really nice search mechanic, and it also just starts filling our trash up with stuff for us to get back later on with the on deletions of Yokomon. Biyomon also contains a inheritable of your turn once per turn. When a card is removed from your opponent's security stack, gain 1 memory. So just automatically we're going to swing. We're going to gain some memory. If we die, we're going to gain some memory. There's just a lot of ways we can gain memory now. Not as much as some other like decks and archetypes and colors, but we are gaining a bit of memory now. For our level 4s, we are still running 2 copies of the good old BT-1 Birdramon, just because, like, the idea of I get to, say, activate its on-deletion effect when a card is removed from my opponent's security stack. Okay, sure. I'm going to activate its on-deletion effect, play out Birdramon, give it security attack +1. Oh, there's another check going through. Cool. It's just like that little bit of extra spice to it. I could add it to a Phoenixmon over here, giving it security attack +2. It's just really nice to have. We all are running also the 4 copies of BT-11's Birdramon with its blocker, being a really useful thing still. And then it's on deletion. We can play a red Tamer card with a play cost of 4 or less from our hand without paying the cost, which is just really great, especially if we want to get Sora out and just have a memory fixer. We are running 4 copies of the new Birdramon from BT-15. This is a when Digivolving, return 1 red Digimon card with Avian, Bird, Beast, Animal, you know the drill, from our trash to our hand, and then it's inheritable. When a card is removed from the opponent's security stack, gain 1 memory. For our level 5s, we are running 1 copy of Garuda Ace with its Blast Evo. It does have Overflow 3, so there is that. But its on play and when Digivolving is very nice as well. It lets us play a red Tamer with a play cost of 4 or less for free. And then all turns once per turn, when your Tamer card is played, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with Blocker, which can be very useful in certain matchups that where you're against a deck like, I don't know, D-Brigade or Craniumon. Which, now that I think about it, kind of makes sense because of the whole episode of Digimon Data Squad with Garudamon going against Craniumon. That makes sense now. I do enjoy that a little bit. We are running 3 copies of Blocker Garudamon from BT-11. Same inheritable as the Birdramon from BT-11. We get to play a Tamer for free. And then we are also running 3 copies of BT-13's Birdramon with its on play when Digivolving. You may play 1 red Tamer with a play cost of 3 or less from your hand without paying the cost, which, it would have been nice if it was 4, but it was gearing up for Christie and Akiho synergy, and I get that. Its on deletion is also nice for its inheritable, which is just delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 6,000 DP or less. For level 6s, we are running the 4 BT-11 Phoenix Mons, still one of my preferred Phoenix Mons, really. I like the new Phoenix Mon we got. I just prefer this, just because whenever we're taking out a opponent's security card, it doesn't even have to be this Digimon doing it. It could be any. We get to activate one of this Digimon's on deletion effects, where we can play out a red Digimon with the usual suspects of traits, being Avian, Bird, Beast, Animal, Sovereign, with 3,000 DP or less. Then for each red Tamer we have, we get to add 2 to the maximum DP that you can play with this effect. So essentially, we're going to need about 4. We need 4 Tamers out at that point just to be able to play out another Phoenix Mon. But with all of the means that we have of playing Tamers, it's a little easier, especially with the new option card that we have. We are also running 2 copies of the new Phoenix Mon from BT-15. I would run 3 of this, but I have reasons, and it's aggression. While I do enjoy its effect of on play, on deletion, if your opponent has 3 or fewer security cards, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with the lowest DP. If your opponent has 4 or more security cards, trash the top card of their security stack. That's nice. I like it. It's when Digivolving. You may play 1 red Digimon with 5,000 DP or less, or 1 red Tamer from your hand without paying the cost. That's very nice for early, Tamer play. If you aren't, for some reason have your BT-11 Phoenix Mon in hand yet, it's really nice. I do only run 2 of it because I prefer running 1 copy still of EX1 Phoenix Mon. Just because, that extra security attack is really nice, and then it's when attacking lets me draw 2, as long as I'm attacking my opponent and not one of their Digimon. I still enjoy that. I still like the draw power. I still like, just the extra security attack. It's a good, rush down, aggression. Especially if I pair it with Akiho, who can give it rush. For options, though. Now, there are a few options that you can run in this deck. I am currently running 4 copies of Twin Wings of Love. I do this one because it's a 2-cost option card that lets me play a red Tamer with a play cost of 4 or less for free. And then if I have Sora, I can return a red Digimon card from my trash to my hand. Just the idea that I can essentially use a 2-cost option to play a Tamer If I already have a Sora out, I'm starting at 3. I can play then an Akiho or a Christie, be at 0, and then pass turn with Twin Wings of Love to play a second Tamer and only have my opponent be at 2 instead of 3 or 4. And I just when trying to choke your opponent is such a huge factor still now, even, if they don't have the means to just start racking up memory, you need every bit you can. Its security effect is also nice. It lets us play a Biyomon from our hand or trash for free, and then it adds it to our hand. So if we have, say, this Biyomon in trash, we can play it from our trash, and then start of our main phase, we can just proc its effect again to start searching again. It's very nice. For our tamers, we are running the usual suspects now. We are running 4 copies of Akiho, great for searching, and then also when you would play a red Digimon with the usual traits associated with this deck, by suspending this tamer, that Digimon gains Rush for their turn. So it is meant to be procced on our BT-11 Phoenixmon. We are running 3 copies of Christie. Christie just gives us an extra memory since we have birds and avians in play. And then it's on play, one of our Digimon gains on deletion. You may play 1 Biyomon from your hand or trash without paying the cost until the end of your opponent's turn. So we could attach that to one of our blocker Garudamons or one of our ace Garudamons. So even if we get the overflow, unfortunately, we're still getting another body out just in case. Finally, we are running 4 copies of the new Sora. Sora is a memory tamer, which is great because originally you would have to play Tai. Now, Tai is still a good card to use. I'll admit this. I do like Sora, though, because all turns when a red Digimon card is returned from your trash to your hand, by returning this tamer to your hand, you may play 1 red Digimon card with Avian, Bird, Beast, Animal, or Sovereign in one of its traits, and 13,000 DP or less from your hand without paying the cost. For each of your opponent's security cards, subtract 2,000 from the DP of the card you can play by this effect. Now, this is really good for endgame Smackdown, essentially. Basically, you're going to want to keep this in the back burner until you have your opponent at their last or second to last security. I would say ideally, best case scenario is you're going to want to wait till you have your opponent has 1 security, proc its effect, play out, say, I don't know, I would actually have to say, best case scenario, you want to play one of your Phoenixmons, specifically either your EX1 or your BT-15. You're not going to get the When Digivolving effect, sadly, but you're still going to be able to get an extra swing in, and if you have 1 last Digimon in play, you can go for game. But still, just that idea, it is meant for the end game, really, than early game, because unless you're able to get your opponent security down real fast, you're not going to want to use Sora's effect. For cards that you can tech in, there's some cards. Honestly, I'll always say that with Biyomon, it's a deck that I've been tinkering with for so long. There's not a lot that I would change. I know a lot of people do like running Greymon from the first starter deck just because of that extra security attack for aggression. I will always say, when dealing with Floodgates, you may want to add 1 or 2 copies of the EX1 Birdramon for its when attacking effect, just to clear out the Floodgates before it makes your BT-11 Phoenixmon's effect a little trickier to do. EX1 Biyomon, just for its draw power, is nice when attacking a player. I would say, though, an interesting card that I've been thinking about is actually Bonds of Bravery. Hear me out, okay? Hear me out on this. Bonds of Bravery is a tamer-focused Digimon. Its when attacking is if you have a tamer, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 13,000 DP or less. During your turn, when an opponent's Digimon is deleted, trash 1 card from the top of their security stack. just being able to continuously trash while attacking your opponent, uh, and then still having a bunch of bodies on board, it gives you a lot more aggression in the late game, I would say. And it's just a card that if you did want to tech in, I would tech it in at like 1, maybe 2 at most. For Tamers, there is Taikamiya just for the extra security attacks. It's also a nice memory fixer if you didn't want to run Sora. For option cards, the usual suspects. We have offensive training. We have red memory boost. We also have ADP and Crimson Blaze, and then finally Crimson Flare. Just because of the options that came out from the new set, Twin Wings of Love is not ideally what I would go with. I would still prefer Crimson Flare. But that is it for this video. I do still love Biyomon. I will always love Biyomon. And, you know, it's a deck that I've always enjoyed for a more casual kind of game. I will see you all in the next video, which should come out in a few days or so. Peace.